Good morning, everybody. So today I'm here by myself. I'm kind of bundled up because it's a brisk December morning. So I'm just absolutely swathed in wool, but it's nice and warm and comfy, so it makes it cozy outside. Beautiful day outside. I am here to try some different foods. Now, we try a lot of weird foods. Today I'm here by myself because the foods I'm going to try are very special and pertaining to my personal history. So on November 19th, 3 years ago, I had bariatric surgery. I'm going to show you some pictures of my before, and we'll show you a not bundled up picture of my after. I'm still a work in progress, but I'm getting there. And there is now 102 pounds less of me than there was before surgery. I had sleeve gastrectomy. So basically, they removed about 90% of my stomach. The immediate recovery was painful, but the first week or so is the worst, like with any surgery. The hard part was the dietary restrictions. So for the 10 days before surgery, you are essentially on liquid only. You got to use a protein supplement so you get in enough protein. And the point of that surgery is actually not the surgery, but the point of the liquid diet before surgery is to shrink your liver, because then it makes it easier for the surgeon to get it out of the way so you don't risk liver injury and severe bleeding complications during surgery. So there's that one. But then after surgery, you have fresh suture line internally along your stomach, and you do not want that to leak. So you have to follow the surgeon's directions very, very closely. And the upshot is that you end up on liquids for about 2 months solid, counting your 10 days before surgery. And then after that, you very, very slowly progress. So, one of the big landmarks, I was so excited about it, is about 6 weeks after surgery, and I finally progressed to the point where I could have purees. Yes, purees. You can make some yourself, but of course, baby foods are nice and convenient. So that's what I have to taste today is baby foods. I ended up, man, after all that liquid, baby food, best thing in the world. That stuff tasted so good, and it was a texture. Oh, sort of a texture. It wasn't liquid anyhow. So today I got some interesting ones to try. And they may not be quite as good as they were after all that time on just liquids, because I can eat normal foods now. I just can't eat very much of the normal foods. I'm like a 4 bite wonder. So 4 good sized normal bites, and I am stuffed full. And I never feel deprived. I have what I want. I just have teeny little amounts of it. So what I have here, fresh out of the pot of hot water that we got, because I warmed it up because it's chilly outside. This is salmon with butternut squash and beet. And they come in these nice little sleevey pouches, which is convenient because you can reseal them if you get full. This has 5 grams of protein in it. Now, protein is a super important nutrient because you need it to heal after any kind of surgery. So I had to keep close tabs on my water intake and also on my protein intake. Wasn't worried at all about carbs. Carbs are what they are. Didn't need those, but I did need the protein. So let's see how this one is. Pardon me if I sound a little froggy or if I cough. I seem to have caught the crud that's going around. So I don't feel too bad, but I got an achy cough. Alright, so wild caught salmon. So if I gently squeeze it up a little here, what do we got? Oh, it looks like applesauce. Basically, that's the texture you have. And actually, right after surgery, when you graduate to purees, An applesauce texture is what you want. You don't want it super thick because you don't want to put any stress at all on that super. So let's see how the salmon is. That is definitely salmon. Like the predominant taste, salmon. And you can also taste the beets. It's interesting because I wouldn't have thought of combining salmon and beets. The squash is kind of a mid-ground flavor. You can taste it, but it's not as prominent as the beets. Yeah, this is not bad. This brand is Serenity. Um, it's actually got good flavor to it. A lot of times for an adult palate, baby food is pretty bland because they don't add a lot of salt and they don't add a lot of sugar. Babies don't care; they don't know anything else. Um, but again, after all that time on just liquids, that's not a problem at all. It tastes good. This is actually very, very good. And this says it's either coho or Kita salmon. I can taste the richness of the salmon. Salmon is a very fatty fish, and it comes through in this baby food. This one's a win. These are also good if you were going to be doing any hiking or anything. They're great. They're not going to rupture. You can throw them in your backpack. They're shelf stable. You can eat it cold. Um, and most of the time after surgery, I usually just ate it cold. Uh, So they would be good for that. The good emergency rations. I guess you could keep them in the trunk of your car if you ever get stranded somewhere in a snowstorm or other natural weather issue. Now the other one I have, this is a different company, so this is Pico Foods and shawarma. Really, shawarma baby food. If you aren't familiar with shawarma, if you go to a Middle Eastern restaurant, a Lebanese restaurant, as an example, they have these big, basically it's steak and it's got a cone of meat that's rotating on a steak. And there's heat on one side, so it cooks it, and they shave off strips of shawarma. If you've ever had a gyro sandwich, the shawarma is the meat on it, and that's a lamb gyro. Does this say what one it is? It does not say whether it is lamb or beef or anything. It's probably beef, which is okay because part of the shawarma is the seasoning they put in it. So this one is shawarma, artichoke, and cauliflower. So those are all things that I like. Let's see how this one is. So again, let's squeeze it up gently. About the same. Applesauce texture. It's a little bit darker. Oh, I can smell the shawarma spices. I smell cumin and fresh ground black pepper. I smell sweet, which might be from the cauliflower. I'm not sure. But let's try this one. Oh, whew, wow. That is a whole lot of flavor. I think if you actually give it to a baby, they're going to do that. They're going to do that face thing they do because it's a strong flavor. Cumin right off the bat. Not so much tasting the meat component of it, but definitely cumin and definitely a shawarma flavor. Wow. Ooh, yep, there's your cauliflower. Not really tasting the asparagus in it. Oh no, it's artichoke. That would be why I'm not tasting asparagus. Not really picking up on the artichoke, but the cauliflower is there, the shawarma is there. Man, I wish I had done this one right after I had surgery. This is really good. Yum. From a nutrition standpoint, this one has only 1 gram of protein. So probably not a whole lot of beef powder in here. Um, but it's got a ton of flavor, and this would be good. First ingredient is cauliflower puree, which would explain why that's the dominant flavor I'm picking up on. Artichoke, They've got some apple in there, avocado oil, and then they've got shawarma powder. So interesting. Not as high on protein, but if you squeezed it out and you added some protein powder, I found after surgery protein powder was my best friend. I use Genipro or GenePro. I always called it Genipro. And I found I have to use the unflavored kind. Now, before surgery, I could have the flavored kind. After surgery, the flavors, even though they're not sweetened with sugar, they were too sweet for me, and it made me feel really, really sick. Um, so Les got to eat all of the flavored protein powders that I had accumulated to use after surgery, and I stayed with the unflavored. But you can add unflavored protein powder to anything and mix it up, and now you've got lots of protein that you need, but not a lot of volume. I like the GenePro brand because it's a smaller volume to mix in with whatever food you're eating. Now, next, we have to go with our protein containing baby foods, again by Kikoa Foods, mango paprika with a hint of lime. So that is definitely an interesting one. So apparently the backstory behind this particular brand is that there was a gentleman who had a newborn son who had complications at birth and had to be in neonatal intensive care, so the NICU. They made their own foods because they wanted to give their son lots and lots of nutrition, but also lots of good flavor. Now, I don't know if the newborn is going to appreciate it. Now, he's probably a little older than newborn when he's moving on to purees, but I know as an adult, having had stomach surgery, oh yeah, oh yeah, flavor is where it's at. You can't eat a lot, so whatever you eat, you want to make sure it has the most amazing flavor ever. So here we go. Mango paprika. Let's give it a shot. Can I smell it? Let's see. Without making a mess. Come, come, come. Here we go. This one is lighter colored, but again, still looks like applesauce. And it smells definitely of mango, so I'm going to try it. Oh, wow. This is like super fresh mango. Not really picking up on the lime, so they weren't kidding when they said hint of lime. It probably adds to the like tang on it because this has definitely a citrusy kind of a tang, but not really an overt citrus flavor. Not really tasting the paprika. Maybe they just add it for extra vitamin C because paprika is really just ground uh, red pepper and it's not hot and spicy, which of course is to my taste. This is good. This is another one that's good. Wait for the truck with the Jake brake to go by. And now we're going to cut out this cough. Okay, I am back. So I decided on one more for today, and this is kind of dessert. So I have two entrees that I tried. I have fruit. The mango could actually kind of be a dessert. And then I have a more traditional flavor. This is plum organics, apple, raspberry, spinach, and Greek yogurt. That's a much more standard baby food combination. They do a lot with apple. I think it's the base of pretty much most baby foods. So let's try this one. I bet you anything it is going to look like baby food and applesauce. It's a darker brown. You can kind of see it. They have a little window here. Well, actually, you can see it in the front. It's a darker greenish brown from the spinach. What does it smell like? I have to be very careful because I don't want to like fountain it everywhere. I smell the yogurt. I smell the spinach. All right, let's try it. Interesting. So I taste the yogurt, and I definitely taste the spinach. It almost feels like it has like a chalky aftertaste, which is less than pleasant. It's not terrible, but it's not good. Um, the raspberry comes through more as an aftertaste. You don't get it right off the bat. First, right out of the gate, yogurt. Like a nice plain yogurt. It's not a sweetened yogurt. I like that, so that works. This one would not be my favorite. Like, it's all right. I'm happy to eat it. It has 2 grams of protein in it, so surprisingly, it has more protein than the shawarma one. So that'd be protein from the yogurt. But this is not my favorite. I think if it had a stronger raspberry flavor, I would like it better. And if it didn't have that chalky aftertaste, I'm not sure what that's coming from. It does have oats in it, but I don't taste the oats at all. They're probably just to thicken it a little bit. So, with that said, when I was coming right off of surgery, any one of these, best thing ever. If you do have bariatric surgery, it is going to make a massive difference in your life. But you have to follow the program. It is not a magic wand. You don't get the surgery and poof, the weight just falls off. I mean, right after surgery, yeah, it kind of just falls off because you're not taking in many calories. I think at the beginning, if I got in 400 calories a day, I was doing good. And I had to really work at it to get in that many calories. Um, Now I'm 3 years out, I can eat, I average probably about 1,300 to 1,400 calories a day. I still have more to lose, so I probably need to cut that back a little bit. Smaller portions, even smaller than what I'm having. But again, that's not hard to do because I get full really, really quickly. There is an order to the food that you eat. Once you get out of your initial uh, post-surgical recovery diet. You go from liquids to purees, then you go to soft regular foods, so scrambled egg kind of a texture, consistency. And then finally, about 5 months out, you get to eat real food, and you'll find like one bite, done, full. When I graduated to eggs, I remember my first egg I almost couldn't even finish one egg. Like I had to take a break and kind of break the egg into 2 mini meals. But that's all right. If you eat foods that we call slider foods, so they're kind of comfort foods. They will compress into very small volumes, but it's a lot of calories in the small volume. You're gonna either stall your weight loss or you're gonna end up starting to regain. Sometimes people have bariatric surgery and then they complain it didn't work for them and they have gained all or most of their weight back. Generally, what's happening is they're not listening to their body. They're continuing to eat beyond the point of full and they will stretch out their new small stomach. Now, I had the sleeve gastrectomy. There's also the bypass. There's also the band, but they aren't doing the band a lot because they were finding people were having a lot of complications with band slippage and band erosion. Um, the benefit to the band was it would have been reversible. You can take it off and then your anatomy is unchanged. But if you end up with scar tissue and stuff from band erosion or slippage, is that worth it? It's a decision for you to make. Have a talk with your surgeon and see what's right for you. I did not want to have the full bypass. People lose a lot more weight with the bypass, but it's completely rerouting your intestines, bypassing a large portion of your intestines, so then you end up with a lifelong malnutrition component. Supplements are important. You have to take a vitamin every day. I mean, I did anyhow, so that wasn't really a change for me. But finding one that works for you is going to be your personal challenge. Some people swear by the Flintstones chewable. I don't like the taste of those. I find I could take regular vitamins. I just initially after surgery had to break them up. My surgeon said in terms of supplements after surgery, nothing larger than a Tic Tac. So if I had anything larger than a Tic Tac, I had to break it up. Um, I've followed my surgeon's instructions, and as I said, I'm down 102 pounds, and I feel so much better. I had high blood pressure before. I had type 2 diabetes before. I haven't had to take medication for my blood pressure since a month after surgery. Like it dropped like a stone to normal levels. It was amazing. Um, I haven't. I mean, my blood levels, my A1C to monitor my diabetes, it is in normal non-diabetic ranges now. I have more energy. I feel so much better and I have less pain. Yes, I still have arthritis. Yes, I still have pain, but I don't have as much as I had every day before. This surgery is absolutely life changing and I have zero regrets. I'm so glad that I did it. I wish I would have done it sooner. Well, I would have, except that we had insurance issues, so I had to jump through all their hoops. So for those of you who are in the process, from the other side, keep with it. You can do it, and you will be rewarded immensely for following the program. Every surgeon has slightly different post-op programs, but essentially for all of them, you're going to want to follow the directions in terms of texture. You don't want any leaks. You end up in the hospital with that. We don't want that. And you want to have a smooth recovery without complications. So follow your surgeon's directions. When you move on to regular food, first thing you're always going to eat off any plate is your protein, because again, that is still your number one important nutrient. After you do your protein, some vegetables. If you have room after that, you can do some carbs. I eat very little bread. If I have rice, it's maybe a tablespoon of rice at most. It's enough to get the taste and emotionally satisfy that itch, but more than that, it's really going to fill me right up. So I don't tend to go with that. Often I get the protein in and I am done. Now, do we go out to restaurants? Yeah, we go out to restaurants. We enjoy going out to restaurants. I know I'm going to need a takeout bag every single time. And like you'll get this massive plate of food from the restaurant. And I eat my 4 bites and it makes a little tiny dent in my plate and the wait staff gets terribly concerned that I didn't like my food. So I always have to explain, no, I absolutely loved it. It's delicious, but I'm full. Really? Yep, really. So listen to your surgeon, follow up. This can work for you. And I highly recommend baby foods when you finally reach the puree stage. And again, for hiking or anything else like that, you're out and about. Uh, you don't want to get to the point where you're absolutely starving. They will do the trick. They'll take the edge off. And certainly if you've had bariatric surgery, they will fill you up. So this is me from Pizza Taco Cat Land here, and I am going to sign out. But by all means, have at it with the baby foods.